I've found myself saying these things and most of the time believing them. Um, it's the start that stops you. Maybe it could be one of the toughest things that we ever deal with is the start. And then I have people come to me and say that, you know what, starting is not hard for me, but continuing on past the first 10 tries is the hardest thing. And then I have another person come, and maybe these people are myself, but I find myself coming in and saying, "Oh well, the sustainability. I can start, but the maintenance in the middle isn't that exciting." Or up until 10 tries, I could do it, and then I get to a point where it's tough to be able to sustain. What I realized this morning as I was sitting down with God was that depending on where you're at, each one of those could be the most challenging thing. Some of you don't have any challenge starting. Some of you are like, once you get started, you can continue on. But once you get to 10, it's kind of tough to get past that. And others have a challenge with sustainability. But when I looked at it, what God was saying is that he brought to me the saying that my wife says all the time, that people won't hear what you say. They won't see what you do. They'll only hear where they're at. And wherever you're at, that's going to be the truth that you hear. And this was so prevalent last night because I was watching a documentary. I watched a documentary, which, I mean, don't waste your hour. Just let me do that. I wasted an hour watching The Liver King. And there was this guy that, basically said that all he ate was liver and just only ate meat. And, that's all he did. And everyone was like, this guy's got to be on steroids. And he's like, no, I'm not on steroids. It's just meat. It's just this. But there was people out there that where they were at, they needed to hear a message. And so they believed and they made the things that he was saying truth to them. And come to find out after all of it, he actually was on steroids. He did the thing, and I'm not convicting him on it. But what I am saying is the world, for us, we're constantly looking for something that will speak to exactly where we're at. And what God let me know this morning and even last night was that if we spend time with him, then the truth won't be a moving target anymore. The truth will be right dead in front of us, and he wants to be able to give us that. And so as I looked in Proverbs 19 today, it cut through all of the garbage and calls us to have a right relationship with him, because when you put him first, all else will fall in line, and you won't get distracted or duped by things that were the truth for that moment. So why don't we get this party started?
Nothing more on my mind. I got to shine, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never known, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in my shoes.
What if the only thing that we needed was right in front of our face, and it was the thing that most of the time that we shun a little bit? And this hit me last night because, again, I watched the documentary. Don't watch it. You can if you want. It's an hour long, and when you end, you'll be at the beginning, which there won't really be any answers for you, and you'll be left. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't mad at the guy. I wasn't mad at the situation. I just looked at it and said, wow, there are so many things out there that claim to be truth. So many things that claim to be the answer. And what God is saying is, like, you don't need all those things if you just come and stay with me. When you stay with me, the truth is no longer a moving target. It becomes clear. It becomes so clear. And all he wants us to do is spend time with him. And when we do that, then peace will come, we'll be light, we'll be filled up with love. And then we'll realize that the boneheaded decisions that we make, he's got unlimited amount of grace for us also. And so it's not about being perfect in it. It's just about seeking the one who is. And when we spend time with the one who created us, it's incredible what can happen. Now, all of us fall victim to this because when my wife said it, that people won't hear what you say, they won't see what you do, they'll only hear where they are at. And my wife is so wise because, when you go and say, like when I go and deliver a keynote in an audience, there's times where I think, oh man, I'm delivering this message. Then someone will come up to me afterwards and say, oh, this changed my life. And they'll say something that I didn't even say, but they heard it because of where they were at. And so uh, not the challenge, but I think the funny thing is say if you're struggling financially, and someone speaks about finances and how to be able to get through that. That's the thing that you perk up to. If you're having challenges in your relationship and someone talks about how a relationship can be. I noticed this in email marketing. I got an email this morning and it was like, are you tired in your daily routine and stuff like that? And it goes through and it lists out. And what they do is they just list out your pain because they want to connect with where you're at. And then they give you a solution based off that pain. And what God is saying is all the pain that you have in your life or all the challenge points, you don't have to seek 5,000 different, snake oils, if you will. You just seek just one thing, and that one thing will add so much peace, so much love, so much contentment in your life, and it's just being able to spend time with Him. So it was a thing that frustrated me a little bit. To be honest with you, I watched a documentary, and I watched a guy prey on people, and I think that for me, it's been that's been a tough thing throughout my life because I watched my dad go through it from a very early age. So let's get back to Proverbs 19 though, because this one cuts right through. So it cuts right through all of the garbage and just says, like, literally, like, all you need is a relationship with me. That's what God is saying to us, to all of us. And in verse 1, the flavor of the month pales in comparison to truth. And if you look at it over the course of my time, I being in the professional beauty industry for as long as I was, for 30 years, it was funny because we would watch fashion. It would be like, oh, bangs are in, like really sharp bangs and really strong lines are in. The following season, oh, whimsical, layers around the face and really soft edges. And then it would go back, and then it would go back, and then it would go back. And it was amazing because you could always predict what was coming next. And being a part of the professional beauty industry, also being in the fashion industry, you would see, oh, skinny pants are the greatest thing in the world. Now you're seeing larger pants. Well, it's just a cycle that goes back and forth based off of where the people are at the time, right? And I want to encourage us, because I fall victim to this a lot, is the flavor of the month pales in comparison to the impact and the strength of truth. In verse 2, desire without knowledge creates silliness. And I've fallen into this at times where I'll have the desire for something, but I don't have the knowledge of what it takes to be able to get there. There's a lot of times where I will shoot, and then I'll aim, and then I'll fire, right? Or, fire, aim, shoot. I get them all, mixed up. But what I want to encourage you with is that desire without knowledge creates silliness. And what is silliness is just the absence of wisdom. And when we do that, that's where we get into challenges. In verse 3, God is not responsible for your silly decisions, although He will love you right through them. This one hits hard in Proverbs 19 and verse 3, because when I hear this every month, because I read the corresponding proverb, corresponding day, and I encourage you to do it. You can get the workbook, or what we call the playbook. You could get that and go through the corresponding proverb for the corresponding day. And every time on Proverbs 19, it just reiterates, like, God is not responsible for our silly decisions. A lot of times we blame God for the inconsistencies that we have, whether it be in our business, our relationship, anything like that. We blame, as opposed to just taking responsibility and say, you know what, I just screwed up. I made a silly mistake. And with that silly mistake, if I spend time with God, He's got tons of grace, and literally He'll just wipe it away right away. It doesn't mean that you won't deal with the repercussions of it, but it does mean that He's got the forgiveness and that He loves you exactly where you're at right now. In verse 4, 6, 7, and 16, get your heart right, your mind right, and your hands right in that order. See, I did it backwards. I thought that if my hands moved in this particular way, then it would help my mind to be able to build, and ultimately I'd fill up my heart. I would encourage you to do it the opposite way. Flip that upside down. Start with your heart, build your mind, and allow that to flow through your hands. If you fill up your heart with truth, your mind will be strong with great intentions. And when that happens, then you'll speak about things. And when it starts to come out your mouth, your hands will move towards that and you'll be in alignment. And that creates an irresistible vibe. In verse 5, 9, 28, and 29, this was a thing that my mom told me all the time, and I didn't want to listen, especially as a kid. Because as a kid, well, let's be serious. You don't want to listen to your mom anyway, right? And my mom would always talk about like the truth will set you free. Just tell the truth, and then you won't have to, we won't have stresses in your life because you won't have to worry about, figuring out what you said before. Just tell the truth. And I was like, yeah, okay. But sometimes telling the truth, and as a kid, sometimes telling the truth was going to hurt. But what it talks about in this is that truth creates freedom. Truth creates freedom. And it allows you to be able to walk light and not have a moving target. And just imagine this. Like, I look at it, and as I was watching that documentary last night, and I was looking at it, the guy, creates a supplement company based off of, lies that he's told to people. Now, did it help some people? And those things are, you can argue all those things, but what it was that in this world, in our world right now, truth is a moving target based off of, what is happening at that time and generally what people are selling at that time. And what God is saying is when you hang out with me, truth no longer moves. It is stationary. You can see it. And when you see it and you build your house on it, it's a firm foundation to be able to build every single thing else. In verse 8, 11, and 19 is wisdom and understanding come from spending time with God. Add patience to that too. So imagine if you could get wisdom, which is the right use of knowledge, you could get understanding, and you could get patience. Well, if you want those things, just spend time with God. Spend time with Him every single day. I tell you, at some point, this is what my pops told me all the time. At some point, you're going to be on your knees anyway, whether it be, voluntarily, like, hey, I give it up. I want to pray and ask about this thing, or that it's mandatorily, like you're going to be in a spot where you're going to say, and we've all been there, and some of us did it on a Saturday night after having a really good party or whatever. God, if you get me through this, it's amazing because I used to joke with hairdressers. I said every hairdresser was a Christian at some point. They all called on sweet baby Jesus at some point when they messed something up. Oh, God, please get me out of this. We all go to that place. So why not just go to it at the first? Because truly it's all we need. Let's go to verse 10. Oil and water don't mix. This was a big thing for my pop. He would always say, boy, oil and water don't mix. You can shake them up. They'll look like they mix for a little bit of time, but once they settle, they always separate. So just be conscious of this stuff. Truth and lies don't mix. Wisdom and silliness don't mix. So make sure that you understand that, oil and water won't mix. In verse 13, 14, 26, allow God to direct your steps with your family. And this was the thing my pops talked about all the time. And it was, sometimes we would get frustrated because he was a man. He didn't do everything exactly correct. And sometimes we would judge like, oh, well, you said this. We were judging the truth based off of how a man acted. Let that settle in for a second. In verse 15 and 24, seeking God will produce diligence. Diligence is right work. When you seek Him, He'll have you have precision, as opposed to just being busy or being in action or in motion. He'll have you in action, moving towards that target, but most of the time you won't understand exactly every single step of it, but stay in touch with him and that all works out. It really, really does. This is a thing that my wife encourages me all the time, especially when I get frustrated on the circumstances of the day, or when I look at and say, oh, I should be here, or I think I should be that way. God is just saying, chill out. I got it. But seek me, and I will produce the diligence that you need. In verse 17, generosity always wins. Gary Spellman, I love you. In verse 18, 25, or 18 and 25, invite discipline. The more you invite discipline, I said it before, where if you don't want someone else's foot in your butt, then put your own there, and then no one else's can fit. In verse 20, wisdom comes from listening and accepting truth. Right? In verse 21, give in and give up. His ways are always better. In verse 21, the love you are seeking is available. Just spend time with him. We're all seeking love. We're all seeking acceptance. We all want to be seen and want to be heard. That's what we hear in business and what we, when I talk to large corporations, literally it comes down to the simplicity of people need to feel seen and feel heard. If they feel seen and heard in your organization or in your company, they're going to perform at a high level. And then you're going to be like, oh, wow, this is amazing. And, the ROI is so much more. If it's not, make sure they're seen and heard, and then make sure that your processes, audit your processes. Make sure that you're there and look at your productivity, look at your innovation, look at your ability to adapt immediately. Look at these things, but it all starts with people feeling seen and feeling heard, and that's when they start to feel great. And when they feel great inside of an environment, they perform at a completely different level. In verse 23, seek him first, and all else will be added on. It's Matthew 6:33. It's something that my pop said to me all the time, and he was constantly with this. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all else will be added on. He would say, boy, did I say, just a little bit, or that everything, but no, he didn't say that. And he would always constantly hit me with this. And what I realized last night while I'm watching that documentary on the Liver King is that if we just seek God as opposed to seeking out some magic beans or silver bullet, it's amazing what can happen, but he's waiting on us. In verse 27, stay in his presence every day. It is not a set it and forget it. Life becomes peaceful, light, and simple once we realize that spending time with him will set everything else in order. And as we finish today, so look at this. So if what we hear is where we're at, then the truth is a moving target based on our circumstance. Although when we flip that on its head and spend time with him, the one who created us, listen to his words and accept his love, we realize that it wasn't the truth that was moving, it was us all along. See, what I want to encourage you today is that he loves you more than you'll ever know, and nothing you can ever do will ever change that. And if you've strayed or you've done some silly things or whatever it is, his grace always abounds, and he's just waiting. And all you need today is just to spend time with him, and that will be the place where you gain the love that we're all seeking. So I hope you have a phenomenal day. My wife and I are actually going on a little trip, so we won't have a podcast for the next couple of days, but I absolutely love you. I'm going to enjoy myself with my wife and my 50th birthday, which is on Friday, May 23rd. So I hope you have an incredible day. Check out the playbook, which is the corresponding proverb, corresponding day. It's called Inchstones, little tiny things that we do every single day that we could celebrate and that will become the milestones inevitably down the road. Have a phenomenal day. My name is Kelly Cardenas, and I'm officially off the hot seat. Peace, love, and soul.
Nothing more on my mind. I got two shines, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain. working, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised.